You'd probably expect me to be the last person to say this, but if you have something that you are exceedingly interested in, it's important that you try to not solely focus on that one particular thing. Here's why. I will tell you from firsthand experience, growing up, I had no idea what I wanted to pursue in life. I knew that I liked movies. I, of course, thoroughly enjoyed playing video games, and I like storytelling. However, going through elementary school and high school, I felt like I was just running through the motions. I had no concept of what the bigger picture looked like for me, what the future held. I was excited for it, whatever it was. Some people had a very particular idea of where they wanted to be in life, and I just hadn't the slightest clue, to be honest. As a kid, I'm sure there was some universe that you wanted so badly to be a part of, whether that was Star Wars, Harry Potter, or maybe even Twilight. I know that when James Cameron's Avatar came out in 2009, there were record reports of people feeling depressed because they couldn't literally go to the planet Pandora as it was depicted in the film. At some point it said in my mind that, oh yes, this desert is located in Tunisia, or this ice planet is located in, I don't know, Alaska. It all became a lot less novel than I'd originally believed. But that didn't stop me from figuring out a way to live out what I felt was intrinsically most valuable to me. In the year 2017, I was in my last semester of college. I actually could have graduated sooner, but I decided to stay a bit longer because I really wanted to take an editing and stage combat class before I left, so I was there one semester longer. For our stage combat final, we had to create a short film using all of the techniques that we had learned in class. The assignment was actually pretty straightforward. Most people just went out to the quad or into a room in the theater building and recorded each other pretending to bash one another's brains out. Not incredibly complicated. However, I realized this was my last year ever in education potentially. And I had never directed a film before. I had spent many an occasion on film sets, either as an actor or a crew member. I'd spent time in the pre-production phase, writing scripts, and I had spent some time in post editing my parkour videos. But I realized this was an opportunity to really push my abilities as a filmmaker to the next level. Now, looking back, I think the film still turned out pretty good. Obviously, there's a lot of amateur issues with the film. The sound design isn't correct. There's some cuts that make absolutely no sense. And the story is, it's all right. But the day we filmed it was hands down one of the best days of my life. The experience we had on set, the cohesion myself and all the crew members had while creating this thing was priceless. There were no words to describe the amount of fun I was having. Many of us realize as we get older, we sort of lose our childlike tendencies, our inclinations to think and imagine outside of the box, and to be non-judgmental with our own ideas. On this day, out in the hot sun, swinging swords at one another, I felt like I'd reclaimed a little bit of that. I felt like a kid again. I felt like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing in life in that moment. And that's a very rare and valuable thing. There are many people who go through their entire lives not knowing exactly what it is they want to do. And I don't blame them because it's incredibly hard to figure out. With that being said, however, that doesn't mean filmmaking is the only thing I should solely focus on. Over the course of my life so far, I've been incredibly fortunate to have practiced and excelled at a couple different things. While I wasn't necessarily the most mentally or physically adept specimen at any one of these practices, I put all of my effort into each and every one of them. Starting in high school, I was incredibly passionate about playing volleyball. The team communication aspect, the adrenaline, the excitement of receiving the ball, setting it up with your teammates, and prepping for a flawless counter was incredibly challenging and rewarding. After high school, I started training in parkour and free running, and this became a literal lifestyle for me. I definitely would not be the same person today if it weren't for parkour. I wouldn't have the same level of confidence or have developed the same discipline or mindsets if it weren't for the years of training that I experienced and the challenges I underwent. I also wouldn't have made the friends I met. Parkour is the reason I got to see the rest of the world. It's the reason I decided I wasn't going to be safe in life. I was going to make bold decisions and I was going to meet new people. Some of the biggest achievements I've ever accomplished personally required only a brick wall and some athletic shoes. By 2016, my interest in free running had waned. I was no longer training like I used to, and I wasn't as interested in progressing in the same way that I had been before. I think a certain part of me wanted the rush, the feeling of adventure and excitement. And as I got older, that pull was not as strong anymore. But I couldn't sit around and do nothing like a potato, so we had to find an alternative. I was very fortunate. The following year, a friend of mine invited me to play paintball at her birthday party. Now, I had played paintball before in high school, but it wasn't exactly a great experience. I think I shot one person the whole time. My gun malfunctioned constantly, and I was getting absolutely lit up by people who brought their own equipment while I was using a rental. However, it was this second outing that did it. At this point in time, I had been playing Rainbow Six Siege for about a year, and I noticed a few similarities between the video game and the physical game. The technique for peeking your opponent, the technique for moving, the way you think about navigating the map or the field. There was a ton of crossover between these things. While I had been playing video games most of my life, I had never really understood how to truly work with a team until I played Rainbow Six. And it was at this time, all of the skills I had learned playing Siege really clicked, and I was able to implement them into a physical sport. While I'd loved playing paintball recreationally, I had zero interest in playing at a competitive level, or at least I didn't think I had any. To me, paintball was an opportunity to decompress from the challenges of being an actor. At this time, I was submitting for auditions every single day, just trying my best to find that next role, the next gig, the next opportunity for a big break into Hollywood. Paintball was my sanctuary. It was a way for me to stop thinking about the acting world, a way to meditate away from it by focusing on shots going past my head instead of scripts that I had to memorize. As time went on though, and I improved at the sport, studied it more, bought better equipment, I realized that the recreational experience wasn't truly satisfying me. I had had a couple people reach out to me interested in starting a team, but none of it was ever really serious until a former high school classmate of mine reached out and mentioned a team was looking for another player. Around this time, Kobe Bryant had passed away. While I wasn't the biggest basketball fan, he as an individual was always an inspiration to me. His level of discipline, commitment, passion to his sport, work ethic, all of these things made me rethink my choice of not wanting to play competitively. I remember going for an early morning run, and my former classmate called me saying, "Hey, this team really would like to see you try out. I put in a good word for you. Will you come?" And I just thought of Kobe and I showed up. Long story short, I made the team and I got to play in my first national tournament in Las Vegas. Eventually, I'd go on to have the opportunity to captain my own squad, which granted me a ton of really valuable experience as a player. Sadly, this wouldn't last because my life was about to take a completely different turn. Think back to March of 2020. The world is seemingly shutting down. Life as you know it has completely changed. I was no longer training. I eventually broke up with my girlfriend at the time, and I needed to find something to do that was productive at home. This is when I started streaming on Twitch. I studied everything I possibly could about being the best Twitch streamer I could be, how to set up the stream to be of the best quality, which games I should be broadcasting, what times of day I should be going live at. Eventually, over the course of a year, we amassed a small community. As I continued my study, I began looking into broadcasting on YouTube. The opportunities seemed better there, and I realized that my channel could not grow anymore unless I started making YouTube content. As my focus shifted to content creation, paintball began to fall to the wayside. I still believe deep down in my heart I'm going to go back and play out there. In fact, I have this idea in my head that if I ever become rich and famous, I'm just going to open my own paintball field so we can all play whenever we want. The point I'm trying to make is that I've enjoyed everything I've done. While being an actor or performer is the penultimate goal that I might be trying to achieve, it is not the only thing. One day while I was studying abroad in England, I was out training with a classmate. night, I asked him, why don't you try this parkour move with me? Why don't you also attempt to learn it? And he said, well, I'm not really a parkour guy. And this statement stuck out to me. I thought, what is a parkour guy? What is a piano guy? What is a baseball guy? What is a football guy? What is a violin guy? What is a paintball guy? Do any of these terms really matter? If you're a human being and you enjoy doing something, there's no reason that something else cannot enhance that experience. If I hadn't started playing paintball, I would not be the same filmmaker I am today. If I hadn't started competing in Halo, I would not be the same parkour athlete I am today. And if I hadn't started playing video games, I would not be the same paintball captain that I was when I was competing. Whatever you enjoy in life is important, but it can be exponentially increased in value by attempting something that uses a different part of your brain. I became way better at Rainbow Six after I played Fortnite. Fortnite forced me to learn more keybinds faster because of the building mechanics. This made me more comfortable with my movement in Siege and other first-person shooters. Heck, just using that side of the keyboard in general. Different activities lead to different avenues of knowledge. So never limit yourself from potentially learning a new activity. I found that streaming on YouTube was the perfect marriage between my love of filmmaking and my love of video games. So here we are, making our first game-related film series. Even if you have no idea what you enjoy doing, one of the best ways to figure that out is to find what you absolutely hate doing. This narrows it down through process of elimination. If you do enough things that you don't like, you start to get a better idea of what you do like, and perhaps that's motivation for you to do the small grunt work that you may not enjoy in your field so that you can climb up the ranks instead of doing that other job that you know you hate. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. As always, if you like the content, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out and stay on it.